Your phone buzzes, another invitation, another social obligation. Maybe it's a friend wanting to grab drinks or a coworker organizing a group outing. You glance over at your dog sprawled happily on the couch, tail thumping at the sight of you. You sigh with relief. You'd take a cozy night with your pup over awkward small talk any day. Sound familiar? If you'd rather chat with your cat than mingle with colleagues, you're not alone. In fact, it turns out there's real psychology behind why some people love animals more than people. And spoiler, it's not because they're weird or antisocial, it runs much deeper. Let's talk about it. The others who choose paws over people. Picture this. Everyone else is clamoring to RSVP for the next big social event, chasing the newest trend or flocking to the latest viral meetup. But then, there are the others. You know them. While the world networks at happy hour or keeps up with the Joneses, these folks are at home curled up with their dog and a good book. They scroll past the drama online because they'd rather invest their emotions in a YouTube video of a rescued kitten. They're not loners in a sad way. They just genuinely prefer the company of animals. Society might label them odd or joke. She's basically a crazy cat lady, or he must hate people. We assume they're misanthropes, contrarians, or that something must be wrong. But here's the kicker. That's a projection. Just like people wrongly assume non-trend followers are snobs, people think animal lovers are anti-human. In reality, their love for animals isn't some performance or defect. It's a powerful signal of how they're wired and what they've lived through. It's not that they can't connect with humans, it's that they've tapped into an emotional equation many of us haven't solved yet. They've found loyalty, safety, and unconditional love in animals, things that, if we're honest, we all crave. So let's unpack that equation. Why do some hearts beat faster for wagging tails and whiskers than for human handshakes? Unconditional love, loyalty, and emotional safety. Think about the pure joy your dog shows when you walk through the door. Tail wagging so hard their whole butt wiggles. Or the way your cat purrs and curls up on your chest when you're feeling down. No grudge because you didn't return their text. Heck, they can't text. No criticism, no eye roll at your outfit or your opinions. Just love. Simple, uncomplicated, unconditional. It's one of the biggest reasons people feel emotionally safe with animals. Pets don't care if you spend all day in pajamas or if you screwed up at work. To them, you are awesome, and every day with you is the best day ever. Is it any wonder some folks prefer that kind of love? One survey by the American Animal Hospital Association found that a whopping 40% of married women dog owners said they get more emotional support from their pet than from their husband. Read that again. More support from Fido than from hubby. That stat might be delivered with a wink, but it hints at something real. Animals fulfill emotional needs that even our closest humans sometimes don't. They offer loyalty and non-judgment in spades. Your dog isn't going to ghost you, and your cat won't suddenly decide they like someone else better. For someone who's been betrayed or let down by people, that loyalty is everything. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and guess what? Many people find it a whole lot easier to trust a dog or a guinea pig than another person. Why? Because an animal is guileless. They're not playing mind games or hiding motives. As one trauma survivor Riley noted, "The only new people I trust are furry and can lick their own private parts." In other words, animals won't spread your secrets or judge your past. They just listen or snooze as you pour your heart out. There's a beautiful simplicity in that. Now, this isn't just Hallmark card sentimentality. There's psychology and neuroscience backing it. When you're cuddling your pet and feeling that warm, fuzzy bond, your brain is likely releasing oxytocin. Yup, the love hormone. In fact, a genetic study discovered that people who show extraordinary compassion for animals often share a specific version of the oxytocin gene. Oxytocin is the same hormone that boosts bonding between human mothers and babies, and between romantic partners. And here it is helping bond people with their pets. Researchers say This was the first evidence that our DNA might play a role in how strongly we connect with animals. So for some of us, being an animal lover is quite literally in our blood. No wonder that love feels so unconditional. Our brains are biologically rewarding us for it. Attachment styles and healing from hurt, love for animals often isn't just about the animals themselves, but what they represent emotionally. For many, especially those who've been hurt or let down, pets become a form of therapy. Consider someone with a difficult childhood or a trail of broken trust. Humans might have taught them that love is conditional or even painful. Then along comes a gentle dog or a purring cat, and suddenly love doesn't hurt anymore. It heals. Psychologists talk about attachment styles, basically how we learn to bond or not bond with our caregivers early on. Some of us got consistent love as kids and trust people easily. Lucky you. Others got inconsistency or trauma and ended up with insecure attachment, always anxious about being abandoned or betrayed. For those folks, forging relationships with new humans can feel like walking through a minefield. That's where animals often step in as attachment figures. One trauma expert shared that her pets gave her something her family couldn't: the experience of a secure attachment, a safe place when people weren't safe. She grew up in chaos and unpredictability, but humans felt so unpredictable. Animals? They were steady. Curling up next to a furry friend, I could finally exhale. No judgment, no shifting moods, just love without conditions, she says. Through that steady companionship, she learned what trust and safety feel like. For trauma survivors, animals can literally be lifesavers. They offer safety, trust, and consistency. Basically everything trauma takes away. If all your life people have hurt or abandoned you, an animal's constant presence can be immensely healing. Each cuddle, each wag or purr is like a gentle whisper to your nervous system. It's okay. You can let your guard down. Connection can be safe. Love doesn't have to hurt. In psychology terms, positive experiences with pets can retrain the brain, teaching it that relationships don't always equal pain. It's no exaggeration to say that for some, a pet is an emotional support system on 4 legs, a living, breathing proof that love and trust are possible. And here's something important. Choosing the company of animals isn't a failure to bond with humans. Often, it's a step towards healing. As Nicole Martin, a therapist and trauma survivor, wrote, "If the only place you feel safe right now is with an animal companion, that's not a failure. It's an opportunity to nurture your sense of wholeness. In time, that sense of safety can give someone the courage to connect with people again. But even if it doesn't, or even if it takes a while, there's nothing wrong with leaning on animal friends. They might be exactly what that person needs. Empathy, big hearts, furry targets. Here's a twist. A lot of people who love animals more than people aren't cold-hearted at all. In fact, they may care so much that it overwhelms them. Empathy is the ability to feel what another being is feeling, and some individuals have it in abundance. Sometimes to the point where dealing with human problems feels too intense. Why? Humans are complicated. We have messy, multi-layered emotions, and let's face it, sometimes we cause our own suffering or hurt each other. For an empathic person, that can get frustrating or exhausting. Animals, on the other hand, are pure in their intentions. When a dog is hurting, it's not because he's scheming or being cruel. It's usually because of something humans did or just nature. It can actually feel easier to empathize with a suffering animal because their pain is blameless and their needs are simple. It's not just a feeling. Research backs this up. In one eye-opening study, people were just as empathetic, sometimes even more so, toward a hurt puppy as they were toward a human baby. And they felt least empathy toward a grown adult human. When participants read a fictional news report about a victim beaten with a bat, their empathy levels were high for a baby, a puppy, and even an older dog, but notably lower for an adult person. The researchers concluded that we tend to see our pets like family members or children, so a dog's suffering pulls at our heartstrings much like a child's would. An adult human, though? On some level, people think, well, an adult can probably defend themselves or might have gotten into that situation somehow. There's more blame or expectations placed on fellow adult humans. With animals, especially pets, we just see an innocent creature in need of help. Another study from Northeastern University had a provocative takeaway. Many people literally love dogs more than people, at least when it comes to empathy. They found that the average person was more disturbed by news of a dog's abuse than a human adult's abuse, unless the human was a baby. In simple terms, vulnerability was key. A dependent animal or infant tugs at our empathy. A grown-up human doesn't so much. This might explain why some of us donate enthusiastically to animal charities, but hesitate to help people on the street. It's not necessarily cruelty or indifference to humans, it's a kind of empathy wiring that prioritizes the innocent and defenseless. If you're someone who tears up at ASPCA pet rescue commercials but feels numb reading about adult human tragedies, it might be because on a gut level you see animals as more pure, less responsible for their plight. Interestingly, when it's not a zero-sum game, many people willingly extend empathy to animals more than to humans. A 2022 study at Penn State found that when folks were given separate opportunities, one day empathize with a person, another day with an animal, they were more likely to choose to empathize with the animal. But if you directly ask them to pick between helping a human or an animal, many will pick the human. Perhaps out of social expectation or thinking people first. The takeaway? Context matters. Deep down, a lot of people find it less draining or threatening to open their heart to an animal. Humans come with baggage, animals come with wagging tails. For someone with a big heart, it can feel simpler to pour kindness into creatures who won't reject it or misuse it. And yes, some individuals' empathy for animals is practically hardwired. Remember that oxytocin gene? Those who have the animal empathy variant literally get more of a neurochemical kick from bonding with pets. So if you've always felt a deeper connection to animals, part of it might be nature's doing. Your brain is set up to love those furry friends. Pretty cool, right? Personality traits, introverts and highly sensitive souls. If you could peek into the personality profiles of people who prefer animals over humans, you'd notice some common themes. Often, these folks are more introverted, highly sensitive, or independent-minded. It makes sense. An introvert recharges with quiet solitude or one-on-one companionship, and who fits that bill better than a pet? Your cat will happily sit with you in silence as you read. Your dog is thrilled to join you on a serene hike in the woods. No social anxiety, no performance needed. Just companionship. In fact, even among pet owners, there are personality differences that hint at how we connect. A classic study found that dog people tend to be more sociable and outgoing, while cat people lean more introspective and sensitive. Dog lovers scored higher on traits like warmth, gregariousness, and excitement seeking. Cat lovers scored higher on traits like independence and emotional sensitivity. Now, that doesn't mean every animal-preferring person is a shy cat lover. Not at all. But it suggests that those who are content with animals might not need the same level of social stimulation that others do. They're often comfortable and quiet. A night in with a pet and one or two close human companions, or none at all, isn't lonely to them. It's lovely. Highly sensitive people, HSPs, a term for individuals who feel and process stimuli very deeply, also often have a special bond with animals. If crowds, loud noises, or complex social dynamics easily overwhelm you, you might find refuge in the straightforward presence of a pet. Animals get us HSP types. They communicate through simple gestures and energy, no words needed. As one HSP advocate put it, while highly sensitive people are often misunderstood by others, animals seem to just get us, no questions asked. The gentle understanding of a purring cat or the excited greeting of a dog can mean more to an HSP than a dozen people saying congrats at a loud party. It's not that animal-preferring folks hate people, misconception alert. Often, they care about humanity in a broad sense or have a few very close human relationships they cherish. But day to day, They may simply find human social life overstimulating, shallow, or unpredictable compared to the grounded, present-focused nature of animals. A pet isn't going to suddenly gossip about you or leave you out. There's a consistency there that appeals to sensitive souls and introverts. On the flip side, some of these individuals do carry a bit of idealism or even cynicism about the human world. They might be the ones heartbroken by news of war, cruelty, or just the pettiness of people. In contrast, spending time with animals is a respite, a reminder that kindness and simple joy still exist. The pet doesn't care about your status, politics, or past mistakes. What a contrast to the judgment we often feel from fellow humans. For someone who values authenticity and kindness, animals can feel like the better company. After all, as the saying goes, attributed to Mark Twain, the more I learn about people, the more I love my dog. It's a sentiment many quietly share. Evolutionary bonds. We're wired to love creatures. Let's zoom out and get anthropological for a second. Human beings didn't always live in cities with Netflix and grocery stores. Go back thousands of years, and our survival often depended on our relationships with animals. We domesticated dogs tens of thousands of years ago. They helped us hunt, guarded our camps, and in turn, we fed and cared for them. Those early humans who really loved their dogs, they probably had a better shot at survival because they kept a loyal ally by their side. Evolution may have favored a mutual affection between humans and certain animals. This ancient pact is etched into our psyches. Even today, the human-animal bond triggers primal parts of our brain. When you gaze into your dog's eyes, both of you get a hit of oxytocin. There's that love hormone again, much like a mother and infant do. It's a biochemical love loop that's been refined over millennia of co-evolution. Dogs, for instance, have even evolved to read our facial expressions and gestures remarkably well, better than our closest primate cousins in some cases. One study showed that dogs make more facial movements, like those irresistible puppy eyes when humans are looking at them, suggesting they've evolved to communicate with us and melt our hearts. Generations of living side by side with humans taught dogs that making an adorable eyebrow raise might get them a treat or affection, and we're basically hardwired to find that cute. Sneaky, huh? So when someone says they trust their dog more than people, part of that is personal experience, but part of it is thousands of years of evolution whispering, this creature is your friend. We've selectively bred pets to be companions. Cats literally domesticated themselves by hanging around grain stores to catch mice, and humans said, hey, these little furballs are useful and kinda nice to have around. Over time, we ended up with cats that tolerate, even enjoy human touch, and dogs that would lay down their life for us. It's only natural that some humans formed intense bonds in return. Our brains and theirs have been tuning to each other's frequencies for ages. And consider this, animals have played the roles of family and community members throughout human history. In many cultures, dogs and cats are considered part of the household, even given names and inheritance in some cases. They've been our workers, protectors, and confidants. So preferring animal company isn't a quirk of modern life, it's arguably a very traditional human thing. In evolutionary terms, the people who adored their animals may have been the norm, not the exception. What about those who love all animals, not just pets? Often, people who say they love animals more than humans feel a sense of kinship with wildlife and nature too. This could harken back to a time when respecting animals, even ones you hunted, was crucial. Indigenous wisdom around the world emphasizes honoring animal life. Some folks today carry that innate reverence. They'd rather spend a day hiking among birds and deer than navigating a crowded mall. That peace they feel around animals might be tapping into something very old and very profound. The feeling of being connected to the wider living world, where human ego and conflicts fall away. Society, disillusionment, and a dash of misanthropy. We can't ignore the obvious. Humans can be disappointing. We lie, we cheat, we hurt each other and the planet. If you're someone who holds high ideals for kindness and justice, seeing human behavior on the news or in your personal life can really sour your view of people. Some animal lovers will straight up tell you, "I just don't like people much. Animals are better." Is that harsh? Maybe. But dig a little deeper and you often find that misanthropy, dislike of humankind, comes from repeated disillusionment. The animal lover might have a deep well of empathy and idealism that's been bruised by real-world experiences. There's research on this too. A study examining attitudes found that people who were generally misanthropic, disliking people, tended to have more positive attitudes toward animal rights. Basically, if you're fed up with humanity, you're more likely to side with animals in any conflict of interest. However, and this is key, the same study noted that if someone was a strong idealist, very hopeful and values-driven about doing good, their dislike of people didn't necessarily increase their support for animals. In other words, there are different flavors of preferring animals. Some folks love animals and also hold out hope for humans. These might be your gentle idealists who volunteer at both the soup kitchen and the animal shelter. Others love animals because they've lost hope in humans. Those might be the ones muttering, "People are awful," under their breath as they cuddle their dog. Society as a whole can also make someone feel out of place, driving them into the arms of their pets. Think about someone who's shy or socially awkward. Humans can be cruel to the odd ones out, especially in school years. But a pet doesn't care if you're uncool or struggle with conversations. That animal will sit in your lap and make you feel like the most beloved soul on earth. Over time, it's no surprise if that person starts preferring the non-judgmental companionship of animals. It's a refuge from the cutthroat social hierarchy humans impose on each other. Even modern social media and trends can push people toward pets. We live in a world of curated Instagram perfection and viral challenges that some people just don't vibe with. If you're not into what everyone else is into, you might feel isolated, but your guinea pig certainly doesn't mind that you'd rather play video games on Friday than go clubbing. While everyone else chases the next big thing, you're chilling with a creature who lives completely in the present and doesn't make you feel lacking. That can be incredibly validating for someone who feels like they don't fit the human rat race. And let's be honest, sometimes loving animals more is a conscious lifestyle choice after one too many betrayals or heartbreaks. There are stories of people who, after a painful divorce or losing close friends, said, "Forget it, I'm getting a dog and moving to the countryside." It might sound like running away, but often it's actually running toward peace. Animals represent that fresh start, a simpler life anchored by trust and affection. Are these folks avoiding problems? Possibly. Or maybe they've just recalibrated their priorities for mental health. They've decided that a quiet life with a few furry companions is more fulfilling than a noisy life filled with shallow or hurtful relationships. And who's to say they're wrong? Defense mechanism or conscious choice? So, is preferring animals a defense mechanism, a personality quirk, or a deliberate choice? From all we've explored, the answer is, it can be all of the above. For some, yes, it's a defense mechanism, a shield against trauma or disappointment. In psychology, we'd say maybe they have an avoidant attachment to humans, but a secure attachment to pets. It's easier to avoid the messy human world and focus on safer bonds. But labeling it merely as avoidance might miss the full picture. Often, turning to animals is a very adaptive, healing response. It's a way to still get emotional nourishment and connection, just from a different source. As coping strategies go, snuggling a rabbit is a lot healthier than, say, drowning your sorrows in alcohol or lashing out in anger. For others, it's part of their personality, something they didn't exactly choose, it's just who they are. They've always felt a kinship with animals since childhood. These are the kids who brought home stray kittens and cried when a baby bird fell from its nest. As adults, they might indeed prefer a weekend volunteering at the animal sanctuary over a wild party. It's not because they're broken-hearted, it's because that's genuinely where their passions lie. Their empathy radar is just tuned more to animals. They might find spiritual or existential meaning in human-animal connections that they just don't feel in human relationships, and that's valid. Then there are those who make a conscious lifestyle choice. Perhaps they had fulfilling human relationships, but still decide, I just vibe better with animals. Maybe they move to a farm or dedicate themselves to veterinary work or animal rescue. They aren't antisocial misfits. They might have friends and family, but animals are at the center of their world because that's what brings them joy. Sometimes it's a phase, sometimes it's lifelong. It can be spurred by disillusionment with society or simply by a calling to be with animals. What's crucial to understand is that loving animals more than people isn't inherently a negative thing. There's a tendency to judge it. Oh, she must have issues, or he's using his dog to replace human connection. Sure, that can be the case for some, but often it's much more nuanced. That person cuddling with her cats could be a profoundly kind, stable individual who just finds more authentic happiness in feline company. The guy who prefers his dog might be one of the most compassionate people you'd meet. He just grew tired of how cruel humans can be to each other. A new perspective on animal lovers. Closing thoughts. Here's a little thought experiment. Next time you meet someone who says they love animals more than people, resist the urge to roll your eyes or label them as anti-human. Instead, consider what that statement really means. It likely means this person values loyalty, innocence, and unconditional love so much that they've made it a priority in their life. It might mean they've been hurt and found a way to heal through the steady friendship of a pet. Or that they see the beauty in lives that many overlook, the wagging tails, the gentle purrs, the creatures that can't voice their love but show it in a million little ways. Rather than viewing such people as lacking something, maybe we can learn from them. They remind us that connection comes in many forms, not just human to human. They challenge the assumption that humans are the pinnacle of relationship fulfillment. Is it really so strange to prefer the company of a loving animal to the company of a toxic or indifferent human? When you think about it, it's quite logical. And yet, these folks often face teasing or skepticism. You invited your dog to the family gathering? Seriously? Yes, seriously. To them, that dog is family. Sometimes the member that treats them best. One might even argue that people who deeply love animals have huge reserves of empathy and love, so much that they extend it beyond our species. In a world that can be very cynical, that's kind of beautiful. They see a soul where others might just see an animal. They create bonds where others might not even think bonds are possible. And they often advocate for the voiceless. How many passionate animal lovers have also signed petitions or run charities for animal welfare? Many. Their compassion is expansive. At the same time, life is about balance. Loving animals doesn't mean one must shun humans, and most don't. The happiest animal-first people seem to be those who also allow a few good humans into their life. It's all about emotional safety. It might take longer to earn their trust, but when you do, you'll find them to be extremely loyal friends. After all, they know a thing or two about loyalty. Their four-legged teachers showed them how it's done. In the end, whether loving animals more than people is a shield, a preference, or a philosophy, it's telling us something important about what hearts need. Trust, safety, loyalty, simplicity, purpose. These are things animals give us that sadly, we sometimes struggle to get from our fellow humans. It's a reminder too that we as people could strive to offer each other a bit more of what our pets offer us. More presence, less judgment, more unconditional positive regard. Imagine a world where humans treated each other with the same genuine enthusiasm and compassion that a dog shows his favorite person. We might have fewer misanthropes. So, here's to the animal lovers. The ones whose best friend might be a dog, whose confidant is a cat, or whose sense of belonging comes from a stable full of horses or a backyard of rescued strays. They're not crazy for feeling that way. Their love for animals speaks to the best parts of being human: empathy, care, and the desire for honest connection. What do you think? Have you ever felt more understood by a pet than by a person? Or do you know someone who seems to have a stronger bond with animals than with humans? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Drop a comment below. Let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the quirks of our psychology, consider subscribing or following for more thought-provoking explorations. Thank you for reading, and give your furry or scaly or feathered friend an extra hug today. They've earned it.